You've pressed play on my first ever video on my channel. I'm so excited because I've got some stuff that I really need to say to you. And I better hurry up and say it because this body that I am living in is currently 58 Earth years old. 58. 2 away from the big 6-0. And that is a very sobering thought, I don't mind telling you, especially when you look at it on paper. So I drew a little timeline of life, see? So all the way from arrival to departure, and this is me right here. X marks the spot. Now, if we take it that 80 is the average life expectancy, well, I'm afraid to say I'm over the halfway mark. In fact, I've only got about 2 inches until I'm worm food. Now, I'm not afraid of dying per se. It's just that I'm really, really annoyed with myself about all of this time here that I have frittered away. And I feel like I've achieved not very much of anything at all, really. And worse still, I have a list of things that I have been saying that I want to do, but that I've been procrastinating about for, I don't know, 10, 15, probably more like 20 years. And time just keeps on galloping apace, baby. Do you know what I mean? So back at the start of the year, I was absolutely determined that I was going to make progress on this list. And yet here I am. The summer has come to an end. And what have I done? Not a right bleeding lot. So I thought if I shared my list with you, then maybe you would be my accountability partner. I mean, it'll be a bit embarrassing if I don't do the things on my list after I have publicly broadcast them on the internet, right? So, without further ado, here are the things I want to do between the X and worm food. Number 1, learn to swim. I know, ridiculous, right? How can somebody get to my age and not know how to swim? Well, the fact of the matter is that I did go to the swimming baths when I was at school, but I just wasn't taught how to swim. I was given a float and told to kick my feet, and all I did was breaths every week with no progress. That's as far as I got. Why, you might be wondering? Oh, I don't know, maybe because the swimming coach was up the deep end with all the kids from Atlantis, aka my classmates, who could already swim. And now there they were in their PJs, diving for bricks and, learning how to rescue drowning people. Now, I kind of think it might have been better for that swimming coach to teach the actual drowning people in the shallow end how to swim. I'm just saying. Anyway, I am pleased to say I did actually start my swimming mission back in January, and honestly, in the space of just 6 months, I've been going 3 to 4 times a week, and I have begun to metamorphose into a swimmer. I know, I can hardly believe it myself. Anyway, I want to tell you all about my ongoing journey from flailing chlorine chugger to stealth swordfish in another video. But for now, back to my list. Number 2, get my body in shape. As you see me now, I am carrying just over 3 stone of extra timber. That is about 44 pounds, or in metric, about 20 kilos. But I really can't get my head round about that, so I have to think about it in terms of supermarket items because, well, it's just much easier for me to visualise. So we're looking at 20 bags of sugar or about 10 bags of potatoes. So when I think about that, if I went to Aldi right now and put 10 bags of potatoes in my shopping trolley, could I envisage myself carrying them home? No. And yet here I am, somehow managing to lug all that extra weight around. And the older I get and the more clicks and pops in my joints, well, you know, I just need to give my body a break and use up all of this extra energy that I'm lugging about with me. But having said that, I don't want to be having to weigh every morsel of food I put in my mouth. You know, all of that obsessing over macros and logging everything into an app and constantly looking at how many steps I've done in a day. I've been there and I've done that. Spare me. It never lasts because, well, quite frankly, it's boring. So what am I going to do? The old chestnut. Move more, eat decidedly less. Listen, I shifted half a stone in 6 months by not doing anything other than the aforementioned swimming, intermittent fasting, a bit of yoga and eating healthy 80% of the time. I mean, come on. There's got to be some exceptions, yeah? Like, I want to still be able to go out with my friends and scoff a nice bit of moist cake with a wee flat white from time to time, you know? I don't want to be a food nun. But yeah, okay. I will grant you that 6 months to shift half a stone is a bit lame. So I really kind of want to up my game. Because I really want to be slim. That's the crux of the matter. I want to be slim, I want to be strong for many reasons, but not least because I've got a wardrobe through there with full of clothes that are trapped and desperate to get out and get on a slim body. Anyway, moving on. Number 3, I want to get my voice back into shape. So, I used to sing a lot. I did restaurant background music with a jazz duo that I had. I had a sort of jazz funk originals band for a few years, and I was the front woman in a 10-piece salsa orchestra. And then I just stopped. I don't know, I was kind of tired of doing all this promo for gigs and getting paid washers. Not only that, but I was tired of coiling all the cables and lugging PA systems while everyone else was having a good time, you know, enjoying themselves. But I think the other thing about it I realised was that I didn't really enjoy the gigs. What I really enjoyed was the rehearsals, because, I don't know, it just felt like more of a, you know, a connection with the musicians. Anyway, go fig. But back to my voice. Over the past few years, I've had a few issues with silent reflux, mostly caused by eating beige food too soon before bed, but also because I was on a medication that I was prescribed after an incident, shall we say, during the pandemic. And that's all I'm going to say about that for now. So really, it's like everything else. If you don't use it, you lose it. So I want to strengthen up my vocal apparatus so that I don't end up with old lady voice. And I'd also like to improve my singing technique, because it's never been the best, my technique. And there are quite a few things that I really need to work on. And one of them would be vibrato. That's one thing. So, yeah. That's that. Number 4. Oh, yes. Learn to play all my instruments. All my instruments? Yes, all my instruments. This is the point at which I have to let you in on my dirty little secret. For the past, I can't actually remember how long, I have been hoarding. No, let's not call it hoarding. Let's call it curating a collection of musical instruments. Guitars, keyboards, a trombone, why not? Not to mention countless software instruments, and to my extreme shame, I can't actually play any of them with any degree of competence. But that's not all. Oh no, there's more. I recently woke up to the fact that I cannot possibly live long enough to complete the number of online music courses that I have bought and haven't even started. I have all of this stuff, more stuff than a lot of full-time professional musicians have, and I'm not using it. What is that all about? I'll come back to that. Number 5, write new songs and produce my own music. New songs? Yeah, new songs, because I've got a whole bunch of old songs that I wrote. Well, the lyrics and the melodies for my erstwhile originals band. But since then, nothing. Well, that's not exactly true, because I've got loads of half-written lyrics and snippets of songs and ideas knocking around in notebooks everywhere and on my computer, on my phone, and I want to make them into proper songs. So why haven't I done that? We'll come back to that. Number 6, get good at drawing and painting. So, last year I discovered that a very good friend of mine really enjoys drawing. Who knew? But it's like it is for most of us, her work and her family commitments take precedence, and all of the things we love doing just fall by the wayside. Now, I've loved drawing ever since I was at school. I still have my box up there that's full of all my paints and pastels and pencils, and it must be over 40 years old. And I've actually kept some of the old drawings that I did at school. I must get them out, I digress. That is something that you're going to have to get used to, because digression is my modus operandi. Anyway, for my friend's birthday, I got tickets for us to go to a life drawing class. Well, it wasn't a class, it was a session. And it was fun, We really enjoyed ourselves. But clearly, drawing is another of those don't use it, you lose it kind of things. Because the drawings that I did on that night went straight in the bin when I got home. And then, come my birthday, my friend said, "Oh, shall we go to the life drawing again?" And I said, "Yeah, but I'd actually like to take a class first so that I feel like I actually know what I'm doing." So, long story short, she bought an online class for us to do. And last summer, we met up whenever we could, every other week. And we went to a cafe that we really like with our sketchbooks and an iPad. And do you know, we really started to make progress just within a few months. And then my friend, who was pregnant at the time, had her baby and everything ground to a halt for the obvious reasons. But we went back to the life drawing again this year for her birthday, and bada bing, bada bang, we got on so much better. All of this is to say that drawing and painting are things that bring us both joy, and we want to keep on doing it as much as we can. And I think I want to make more videos on this subject as well, so that I can chart my progress, and if drawing is something that you're into, I can maybe hook you up with some of my favourite YouTube artists who have been helping me to improve. Okay, next on the list, yes, number 7, read all the unread books in my flat. And oh, do I have unread books in my flat. I mean, I really don't know where they all come from. I think they're just breeding, because, well, what is it with me and books? I don't know. Well, I guess from an early age, I was a bookworm. That was it. I was a big fiction head. I was all about the stories. I would get so engrossed in a novel that I would just lie on the sofa and I would read and read and read until I finished the whole damn book. And literally nothing else would get done. And I began to feel guilty about that, like I was being totally unproductive. Essentially, I felt like I was being lazy. So I stopped. And then I started in on the non-fiction, because my thinking was, if I'm learning something, it's not being lazy. So for the past, 7-8 years, I've been on this massive self-education tip. But recently, I've kind of felt like, oh, okay, I think I would quite like to just get lost in a story now and then. So I might have bought a few novels. But that voice in my head is like, you better not even think about sitting on that couch, lady, and reading a book. Not while you've got a list the length of your arm to do, So I have to say, there's a wee reading rebel inside me that's like, how can I possibly get around this problem? How about I add another item to my bucket list? Number 8, start a YouTube channel and make book reviews a part of it. That way, I could tell my inner critic to shut it, because reading books would be a part of my job. A cunning plan, what? So here I am, starting my cheeky wee YouTube channel. And not just so that I can read books, but also so that I can apply myself and make headway on all the aforementioned things on my list. Because, come on, as bucket lists go, it's not exactly filled with grandiose wishes, is it? It's not as if I've got, I think I would like to build a rocket and go and colonise Mars. All of my things are easily achievable. Which kind of begs the question, why have I persistently been the queen of the procrastitrons when it comes to doing them?
Most illogical reaction.
At the end of last year, in that golden period between Christmas and New Year, betwixtmas, a friend of mine calls it, I decided that I really needed to work out what the hell was going on with this procrastination lark. I sat here on my big red reading chair and I had a mahoosive think-a-thon so I could really get to the bottom of it. Part of the problem is obviously that I want to do all of the things and then overwhelm. But then there are the usual suspects that come up. Imposter syndrome, perfectionism, fear of failure, fear of success, bizarrely, and fear of people saying horrible things about me. I've got to get used to that, isn't it, on YouTube? But none of these things were new. They were all things that I had thought of before, but I knew none of them really got to the nub. What the hell was it? I said to myself. And so I sat here and I thought on, and eventually, another thought bubbled up to the surface. And it was this. I have not been giving myself permission to play. I've not been giving myself permission to play. Okay, well, what's that all about? So the more I dug around in my psyche, the clearer the answer became. I've not been giving myself permission to do the things on my list because they're fun. Well, most of them are fun. And you know, when you're a sensible grown-up, the fun must stop. Think about it. All of that deep programming that you get in your formative years. You know, get a real job. That's not a proper job. What are you wasting your time doing that for? You need to do something sensible. All of that stuff, it comes in through your ear holes when you're young, and it lodges in one of those little crevices in your head walnut, and it festers away in there for decades. You know, things people say to you during your school years.
I didn't know they allowed retards into Schaefer.
Oh, careers advice. Unhelpful comments from the adults around you. Also from your peer group. From people who think that everyone should conform to their ideology, you know, their view of the world. And unbeknownst to you, all those little sticky barbs affect you, and they make you behave in an illogical manner as an adult. Well, let me tell you about some of the proper jobs that I have been doing for the past 20 odd years. Now, quite a few of them you will think are creative jobs. So, copywriting, editing, proofreading, web design, a bit of voiceover work. Oh, super fast touch typing, administrative whiz kid jobs. Because, well, hey, it's always good to have a nice living wage office job to fall back on when that unsteady creative career you want to do doesn't pan out, right? Things are about to change. Now we're on the cusp of a paradigm shift unlike any other the human race has known before. I'm talking about the advent of artificial intelligence. Now, I don't know about you, but I have been fascinated by how fast this has been developing. I mean, just within the past year. Exponential. And I've been reading this book. It's called The Coming Wave by Mustafa Suleyman. And he is the co-founder of DeepMind. And in it, he explains how not one, but 4 new waves of technology are coming together simultaneously and creating what he calls an unstoppable tsunami. And this unstoppable tsunami is going to completely turn society as we know it on its head. So he's talking about artificial intelligence, robotics, synthetic biology, and quantum computing. Dun dun dun! Interesting times ahead, huh? When the initial freebie version of ChatGPT first launched, I decided to take it for a test drive. And do you know, it proofread a page of A4 riddled with typos and grammatical errors like that. And verily, I say unto you, I saw that the writing was on the wall already for all of my proper job skill sets. But am I lying here in a heap thinking that my life is over? No, I am not. On the contrary, I am feeling like this is a pivotal moment. I mean, if ever there was a perfect time to get a head start on letting yourself play, I think this is it. And so, I hereby declare in my first ever YouTube channel vid that I am giving myself permission to play. I give myself permission to have fun, to not care about being beginnerish, to accept being a bit rubbish, and to have a laugh about it, and to not take myself too seriously. I think I just want to improve myself and relax and enjoy the journey. So, tell me, how about you? Are you kind of thinking the same? Are you feeling it's high time you gave yourself permission to play? Well, come on then. Let's take the first step. Go and get yourself a nice, fresh new notebook and write your wish list. I've written mine in this notebook that I got for Christmas from a very good friend of mine. She knows you can't go wrong giving a wordsmith a new notebook. I did laugh. Check it out. It says, if at first you don't succeed, try doing what Leslie told you the first time. Look. That's a wisdom bomb right there, baby. It's high time I took my own advice, don't you think? Oh, I've just realised I didn't introduce myself. That's me, Leslie. And I am not an artificial intelligence, and I'm not a robot. And neither are you. So come on, my fellow human being. Let's stop being mere cogs in the system and get to work on our lists and change the rest of our lives for the better. I think that's about it from me for now. If anything I have said here in my meandering maiden video rang a bell for you, well, maybe you'll be so kind as to ring a bell for me too, if you know what I mean. So, I do hope you'll subscribe to my channel and come and hang out with me again. Until then, give yourself permission. It's playtime.